same thing. But that you're talking about is a myth. So that doesn't happen at all. And they'll hang out here with us, and we actually pick up their feathers, and we actually have to send them into the government because there are acting tribes, acting Indians in the United States, and they will actually put in a permit to be able to have some of them to make headdresses and also to do their ceremonies. I know,
That's
right?
so cool.
It's such a privilege to work with these animals, you know. People often go, oh my goodness, like, what do you do with them? I go, you're so welcome. Enjoy your stay. Come back and see us, okay? All right. It's a privilege to be able to learn about these guys too. And you know, if you ever see one of these birds, any bird of prey out, my suggestion, they're protected. And even though there's a lot of them still in the United States, call somebody instead of trying to help move them. I told somebody the other day, I said, even if you're just moving them a foot and you can get a big stick to push them, if you're found doing that and for some reason the animal passes, unfortunately you're going to get fined or get thrown in jail still. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Say that once again.
There's a feather right there.
I can't, because you know what? If you're found with that feather, they can fine you and you will get a fine of over $100.
Ooh, you got $100?
But I appreciate you asking. You know what? Because I've worked with these birds for so long, I've had so many people tell me, I know you've got feathers at home. I go, no, I do not. That is one thing I do not have, because, and I understand it. I appreciate it. How are you today, by the way?
Okay.
I saw you yesterday all day. Is it Maya? Mia?
No, that wasn't her.
It wasn't her?
No.
My goodness, you look just like this young lady was here yesterday and asking me a lot of questions. Doesn't she look like the little girl who was asking questions yesterday, Maya? A little bit. Hi there, you guys have any questions? Feel free to just ask.
I'll go over to the kids area.
It is a bald eagle, yes. It's a juvenile bald eagle, yes. A lot. Hey, how are you? There's a lot of people that don't realize that a bald eagle has an actual camouflage state, and it takes about 3 to 5 years for them to do this. The reason for that is because they're not proficient flyers, and they're definitely not proficient hunters. So they have to have a little bit of that camouflage so animals don't know what they are. Because if they saw the white head, the white tail, they'd be like, okay, I'm out, that's an eagle. He is an injured bird. I'm going to show you real quick here. If I do this on this side, he has no vision, but look here. Aww.
Is it his eye?
No vision whatsoever, yes. So he was found at the base of a tree. There was a person that was a volunteer that's part of what's called the Eagle Watch. And he was also happened to be a rehabber. That was his nest. So when he got there, he found this guy on the ground, but he realized that the left eye was actually blind. So with that being said, he had to take this bird in to get assessed. Well, it was in Polk County. He wrapped the bird up, drove with it in his arms all the way over to Polk County. When they got there, realized that the eye was totally blind. Fish and Wildlife looked at him and said, there's no way we can put him back out into the wild. So with that being said, they looked for a forever home, and we had already had the opportunity to work with 3 other bald eagles. So with him coming here, he's our first male that we've had, and he's just a joy to work with.
Now, will you guys breed him with the fees, or we get a few?
The reason we won't breed them is a couple of reasons. First, the population of the bald eagle is up. We're not even threatened anymore. Second of all, with them being rescued and they're young, they wouldn't know how to take care of the eggs. They wouldn't know how to teach them to fly. So now we would just have more birds of prey that we would have to just take care of. If the population were lower and we were still on that endangered species area, there's a very good chance that yes, they would put them back out into the wild. And that happened with a lot of birds that came in with injuries back in the 70s and 80s.
They don't breed them in like zoological facilities?
No way. We can't. That's a governmental thing. It's assessed by them, and we would never do that anyway because the population is up. Because these birds have to learn how to fly. If there's no injury to them, then they shouldn't be with us. They should be out in the wild. That's a great question. And people often ask that as well.
Do they interact with other birds?
They're not really fond. Birds of prey don't really like to be with other birds of prey. So if you have eagles, they're usually with their mate. That doesn't mean that they have to be with that mate the rest of their life. They are considered monogamous, but I have seen nesting eagles that have lost a mate, and they've come back a maybe 2 years later with a different mate, but it's not necessary.
Does he ever interact with Maddie?
No. They will see each other, and she teaches really bad habits. So they get to see one another, but they don't really interact with one another. Observational learning with children, you know, when you're getting to that age or your kids are getting older and things are being said and they pick things up, that's what she's doing right now with our older 16-year-old bald eagle. She's picking up things that we don't want her to pick up. If you're just joining us, welcome. This is one of our chickens that we have here. It's a rescued chicken.
He's a cute chicken.
Thank you. This is one of our rescued bald eagles. He does come to us from one of our partners. I know I didn't mention this to you all. SeaWorld has a SeaWorld Busch Gardens Conservation Fund, and it started back in 2004. And the reason that we did that is because we've been doing rescues here at SeaWorld since the 60s, but we also want to be able to give back, and that's something we've done all the time. We have different organizations around the world, not just here. And what we do is we ask for grants. So what they'll do is they'll say, hey, we need a little help with our vet clinic, or we need a little help with our structures, or we need some help with somebody coming down here and teaching us how to do husbandry with our animals. So we've had the opportunity to travel. We've also had the opportunity to give small funds to these different organizations to build them up. For instance, APPC, which is down in Panama, is where we get a lot of small tamanduas, which are the little anteaters, and also sloths. The reason for that is because their facility is so small, they're unable to keep them. So what they do is they will ask organizations like Busch Gardens to be able to take them in and educate the public. Well, now that APPC has been with us for over 7 years, they now have an educational area at their facility. So they're able to educate Panamanians, and they have a vet clinic on staff now instead of having to take those animals off to a veterinarian. So and not to be boastful, you know, we want to have that confident humility, but we want to be able to say animals matter, and we can't give you $1 million to do that, but here's maybe $10,000 to start off, or here's $2,500 to get what you need down there. These birds here came to us from Audubon Center for Birds of Prey in Maitland. Anybody from the Central Florida area here? If you get a chance, if you've not gone, it's not a theme park. It's not like you're going to go there and be entertained. But I will tell you, they've got great information. They have great animals that you get to see, and it's one of our partners. We actually have 8 different animals that have given forever homes to. So we have 2 bald eagles here. We have him. Sorry, Rainier. We have our 3-year-old. We have our 16-year-old. We helped with Star, who is now in SeaWorld, Texas. We also helped with Avian Conditioning Center, which is in Apopka, with one of their little small bald eagles named Polite, and he's up in Williamsburg, Virginia. We have a crested carrot. We have a great horned owl. We have 2 screech owls. So we have been very fortunate to be an arm for Audubon and being able to really market for them and be able to say, hey, listen, if you get the opportunity, go there and see the great work that they do as well, because they're nonprofit organizations. So your donation to them helps out tremendously. Now, I saw some of you had your hands up. Anybody here looking to put their kids in a summer camp? Anybody a pass holder? Okay, if you're oh dude, I love your hair. Did you have to bleach it and then do that? Shut the front door. They would not let me come to work at the age of 56 like that, but I would love to do that. So back to what I was saying, because I am like squirrel. If you have a annual pass, you get 50% off of the camps. Okay? So if you want to do that now, there is out in the park, there's a big whale over there. They're signing people up for summer camps. I'm just letting you know, you have that opportunity to do that today. If not, just come back and see us when you can this summer.
We want adult camp.
Adult camp?
Definitely.
So do I, but can we have other things than juice there? I'm just kidding. No, but you know what? People have asked about that, seriously, because it's, you know, when you're a child at heart, I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years. Can you tell I do not like what I do for a living? You can tell that, right? I know you can't. Tell them we need adult sleepovers.
I think you do like
Adult sleepovers? Okay, now wait a second. I don't know about that. We'd have to have female sleepovers and ideas are. Just
Killer
saying.
whale yoga.
Killer whale yoga.
They have
Now
it.
that would be fun.
They do. They have it out in San Diego.
I've heard
Killer
about
whale
that.
yoga.
You know what? I think, so here's another thing too, because again, I've been here 35 years and I come up with these ideas. It's kind of like when your mother tells you, you should do this. You're like, yeah, whatever. But you hear it from somebody else, but what a fantastic idea that is. We should have comment cards back here. I know you guys are going to be here all day. I totally get that. When you leave today, or if you're pass holders, please write a comment card. Tell them up front. I think it's a great idea. Matter of fact, we have talked about adult sleepovers, but we've talked about adult classes as well. The problem is, sometimes we don't have enough educators, and I know that sounds really crazy, but because of the influx that we have such a good program, we have such passionate educators that it takes a little bit of extra time, but it can be overwhelming too, you know? But please take that opportunity, take that time when you leave today to put a comment card in, even email, whether it be from your phone or whether it be at home. You know, we greatly appreciate your input. I've been at SeaWorld for 35 years, don't ask me why. They could have gotten rid of me a long time ago, just saying. But again, I do. I love what I do. I love the people that we have that come up and they have that passion. You know, I've had people come up to me and go, I used to see you at a sea lion show. Or I saw you, you know, I have a picture of you at Shamu Stadium. You know, so I was around and I was young and I was cheap in my time. I'm just telling you. But now I've got a full body spank if I want to wear one up at Shamu Stadium. You know, we had a long time ago. So,
Do you guys still have the bird that used to be in Blue Horizons, that big...
Andean condor.
Yeah, the condor.
So that is a contracted bird show, because to do a bird show, you can't have the same birds do that 2 to 3 to 4 times a day. So that's Joe Carvalho. We do have other, like for instance, Pets Ahoy.
Yeah.
But that's a contracted show by Joel Slavin and his professional animal staff. But that's Joe Carvalho, and I don't know if they use the Andean condor anymore.
I was told he's in Miami.
There you go. That's very possible. Because Joe, along with Joel, along with Dave, along with all the contracted animal people that we have in the park, you have to have that depth in animals to be able to sustain what's going on. Because a bird, when we used to fly African fish eagles in the Shamu show here, we had 4 of them. And you have to be very cautious because they're fully flighted and people are like, oh yeah, but you throw food in the box up top and they come to it. We have a lake next to Shamu Stadium that has blue tilapia in it. Trust me, I've seen our fish eagle go after that numerous times. So what do? You sit and you wait. Nautilus Theater over there. You see that right on the other, on this side of what's that, Mako, where it's going up? Yep. I've seen eagles sit up on top of that roof, and I've sat and gone, oh, for the love, I've got to go home, come on, you know. But the crazy thing about an eagle or a falcon or an owl, well, excuse me, no, that's not true. An eagle or a falcon, when the light gets low, they're not going anywhere. Wherever they're roosted, wherever they're sitting when it's dark, that's where they're staying. So I can leave them, come back the next day, and go. We don't fly any of these birds anymore. Not because we don't want to, but because of their injuries. So we did have the African fish eagles that were brought to us from SeaWorld San Diego because they used to have a bird show out there. Then they decided that they didn't want that years ago, and that's why we brought them here for the Shamu show. When that Shamu show changed, they also changed it out, and we utilized our African fish eagles actually for the Daytona 500 and the Pepsi 400, which is now called something else, I don't know, the 500 and the 400, whatever their sponsor is now. But we used to fly them for the opening ceremonies 4 years in a row. And you want to talk about somebody going, oh, well, you food maintain those. In the middle of Daytona, there's also a lake there because race car drivers like the fish and they stock it with bass. And yes, we had our birds take off and go in the thermals. I counted 20 laps that our female, her name is Isa, she did 20 laps before she felt like she could come down to our glove. And when she did, she came down like a bomber. Now, these birds, average weight is 8 to 10 pounds. An African fish eagle is about 5 to 7. They're very stealth, they're very thin. Trust me, when a small bird comes in, it's okay, I know.
How long is their wingspan?
A male is going to be about 6 to 6.5. If you would sit still, you're wrapped up on your own. I'm going to see if I can.
How much weight can they carry?
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to have to put him on the ground.
I can like here.
Now he's wrapped around my finger, like literally.
Over here. Okay, Mom.
Look at that chicken walk. You're such a pretty chicken. So I'm going to pick him up very quickly. The main reason for that is not because I don't want you all to see him. You ever heard the term fight or flight?
Yep.
A bird likes to be above everything. So being on the ground with everybody the way that they are, especially with their eyesight, they're like, oh my goodness, I've got to get away somewhere.
How much can they carry?
About 3 pounds for a bald eagle, like I would say in the state of Florida, you know, in warmer climates. If you get to Alaska, they might be able to get up to 7 pounds. People often think they can pick up much more than that. The problem is that when they grab onto something, they can't let go of it. They have to voluntarily think about releasing it. It's very much like a killer whale. Killer whales have to think about breathing. So they could be doing their swimming, whatever else, and all of a sudden like, oh, I better get up there, I gotta get some air. Open the blowhole, close the blowhole. Because if they just willy-nilly were able to blow, do that, they might get water in their blowhole. They might drown themselves. So with these guys, it's the same thing. When they're hunting, they grab onto their food, and then they don't have to worry about it. It's locked and loaded, and then they're off to either a tree, a rock, the ground somewhere, so they have the availability to sit down and just eat their food very pleasantly. The other cool thing about the wingspan that you were asking about, 6 foot, they will do something called mantling. Remember the whole term, the ball goes behind the chair so the kid doesn't see it or the dog doesn't see it? Same thing with birds of prey. They can have a big rabbit, but then they take their wings and go like this. Another bird would be like, oh, he's just hanging out in the sun, or he's just doing his thing. All good. Any questions? Again, I could sit here and just, what's his wingspan? Wingspan about 6 foot.
Wow.
And our female's about 7. He's just going to be turning 3 this year. So they're both starting to molt. This is that time of year where they'll start to lose their feathers. So I'm looking forward to seeing what coloration he is this year. Now, one unique thing I love about this bird, I mean, I love both of our bald eagles, but him specifically, he has a beauty mark. So I'm going to turn him this way. Forgive me for a second. Do you see this white feather on his wing? That is not normal. And we've had him, I've known him since he went into Audubon Center for Birds of Prey. So that little feather is his beauty mark. And I was so excited that the first molt, it was there again. So we'll see. Both of our bald eagles have a mark on them. Hey, there you go. They both have a mark on them. Maddie on her right eye has a little, I call it a Cindy Crawford little mole right in her eye. It's not a mole, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying.
So how long do they normally live?
Out of the wild bald eagles, without having any disease or whatever else, they say anywhere from 20 to 25 years. It's possible that they can move up to 30. The reason we know that is because bird of prey centers, when animals do come in, they'll tag them. They might have tagged them, and then the animals have gone out into the wild and then come back on several years later. This past couple of months, I was over at Audubon just visiting, saying hello. They had one of their bald eagles come in. They were in their 20s, and it had been 10 years since they'd seen that bird, so it was in his 30s. The oldest rescue bald eagle that I'm aware of was at the Washington National Zoo, 51 years old.
Wow.
How long does it take for them to get comfortable with you and then comfortable with a group of people?
That's a great question. So how long does it take for them? Well, with their eyesight being the way that it is, has to be twofold. We have to be comfortable with them, so they have to be comfortable with us. So if we have the comfortability, we know when to stop. It's just like when you have your child or your pet, you know what their threshold is. You know, oh, I'm pushing the limits here. So with our 16-year-old, she knew how to get our belt. She knew how to make us react. And after 16 years, she still can do that. I won't put my hand close to her. I won't do this to our 60-year-old bald eagle. I won't do this to our 16-year-old. I I won't do that at all. With this one here, it's taken us a good year to get him comfortable, but I also believe that's because he's blind in this eye. So because falconry, you wear a glove on your left side, when I'm out in the public with guests, I don't really stand like this when people go by. I have to stand like this. Sorry, I'm turning my back. But I have to stand like this so he can see what's coming up behind us. But now, I can walk through the park with him. It doesn't seem to bother him. Although he'll get startled just like I get startled by some of the people in the park sometimes too. Just saying. Come on, you've been to Walmart. You know what I'm talking about. But our other bald eagle, you talk about how comfortable they are with us. We actually have the opportunity to travel with them. Who here came on an airplane? Who here came on the airplane with a child? I'm not talking about your wife. I'm sorry, I had to say that. So, with that being said, you know how it is to get everything packed, get to the airport, go through security, go through TSA, okay, imagine doing that with a bald eagle. She and he both have more frequent flyer miles than I do. They will travel with us on the plane. They will travel in a dog kennel that is the size for them. We will put them in the seats next to us. The bald eagle will take up 2 seats. I will take up 1. Oh, wow. They will travel in a extra large, no, I lied. They will travel in a 300 series kennel, which is a large kennel. That will sit in the seat next to us. And then we will take them on the plane. You know the pre-boarding stuff? Imagine pre-boarding with a kennel like that. That's fun. Then imagine people coming up to you and saying, what do you got in there? A bird. I got an eagle. No, you don't. Oh, does flying bother him? Not kidding. You've been around and you've heard I have a sarcasm sense of humor here. It took everything in my power because I was wearing SeaWorld stuff to not say anything. And I literally went, well, no. And he goes, come on, it's got to bother their ears. And I was like, they fly about, and I looked at the stewardess and I go, how high will we be flying today? She goes, around 32,000 feet. I go, nope, inside or outside, he'll be just fine. I do believe, though, he had a few too many liquid cocktails before he got on the plane. But yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate in what we do. SeaWorld, I believe, after being here 35 years, it's not just about marine mammals, it's about the animals that are in the water. It's about the animals that are on the land. It's about the animals that are in the sky, because what connects us all is water. Whether it be salt water, whether it be fresh water, it connects us all. We all need that water. So, we've been very fortunate to do what we do. And as I told you earlier, I hate my job, so. Of course. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. Do you guys have any, you can stay. Oh, don't do that. Is there any other questions that you have? Any other comments?
How many birds live back here with him?
We have 5 birds right now that live back here. We also have one that is not a bird of prey. We have a brown pelican. A brown pelican came to us because it was on the nest. They had not seen mom and dad for 2 days. It was during the Exxon Valdez oil spill. And it's very possible that the pelicans had flown down to get some food or whatever else. Well, long story short, they called Seabird Sanctuary over on the West Coast. They took the bird in, but they didn't have any parenting pelicans at the time. They were all young. They were going to go back out, so they called us. They placed the pelican in with our pelicans. We do have brown pelicans and white pelicans. Problem is, they wanted nothing to do with him. He wanted nothing to do with them, and basically they kind of started beating up on him. So they were like, what are we going to do with this bird? Would you like him part of your animal ambassador team? Heck to the yeah. And you talk about those birds or our birds going and traveling. Our pelican has been on the Jay Leno show. Our pelican has been to Washington, D.C. numerous times. Been on the Today Show numerous times with Kathy Lee and Hoda. Been down to Miami for Desperta America. So yeah, we're very fortunate to have 5 different birds here. You want to go up? Do you need a little break? You notice how I'm glistening?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I'm glistening. These birds, they don't sweat. They hassle. They pant. Because if their skin got wet, then their feathers would get wet, and it wouldn't be the best way for them to fly. So this is what they naturally do to cool off, or they'll put their feathers or wings out to cool off. So because I see that, I'm going to go ahead and take you in for a little bit. I'll be back in a few minutes. Take some photos.
Thank you.
Of course. No, I'm going to whisk them away.
Do they eat like live?
We don't give live prey to any of our birds, especially because they're rescues. Back in the 80s, American zoos and aquariums, they came up with a law or different things for zoos and aquariums because if you have a rescued animal that doesn't know how to fend for himself, so now you're giving him live prey, which he needs to eat, they want to say, oh, he needs to be stimulated. First and foremost, do you not think this is stimulating right now for this bird? But if you have a live prey and you give it to them, he doesn't know what a rat's going to do. A rat will go after his feet and bite him. Now I have a rescue that's hungry with an injury. So what we have done is all of our animals here in the Eagle Mute area, we have frozen food that we thaw out for them that come to us from either, a fish farm or come to us from, I love this, I say it every time, favorite name of a company ever, the Gourmet Rodent. That's where we get all of our rodents, all the way from winglings to large-sized rats. It's the best name ever. So then we will then thaw them out and give it to these guys. I know, right? I wish I'd had stock in that name years ago. Oh, wait, that breeze feels so good.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to bring your in, but I'll be back in just a few moments, okay?